You say I'm one the trouble, two for the time. One the trouble, two for the time. One the trouble, two for the time.
Here we go again. Right now, let's go. Me and you, toe to toe. So we can rock, we can roll. Here we go again. Right now, let's go. Me and you, toe to toe. So we can rock, we can roll.
So I won't be taking too much of your guys' time with this intro, but just a basic rundown of what these little compilations are, since I know a lot of you are newer. These Yap compilations I've been putting out are basically just old videos that I have with the outro cut out, intro cut out, and with some equalized audio for like smoother listening, shit like that. And yeah, all of these videos have already been posted onto my channel, but I know a lot of you haven't seen them. And a lot of you also just listen to me in the background and like other content like this in the background. So this just makes it more streamlined. I have a playlist of all these compilations and shit. And like I said, the only video that's really going to be excluded is one like YouTube update video I did and one EDP video I did, which the EDP video you should watch if you can. And yeah, that's basically it, man. I'm just streamlining the experience if you want to binge my videos or listen to me yap or whatever. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy the fucking yap session. I'm fresh off the double shift again. I should be taking my black ass to bed, but you know, I'm feeling the topic, so fuck it. It doesn't really matter that I go to work tomorrow. Well, today, early today, like a few hours, like 2 hours, 3 hours worth of sleep and then get the fuck back up. Fuck that shit, man. I'm feeling it. I'm gonna let it rip. So when I wake up and listen back to this, we'll see if this came out decent or not. But the topic that I had in mind today is having a quote unquote problem with authority. And this is a phrase that was thrown directly in my face when I got my first job, but I'd been hearing different variations of it my entire life. And I've come to realize that it applies to all aspects of life, not just working in school. But for the instance that sticks out in my mind, because of course this is when she said that shit specifically to me, I'm going to be going back to McDonald's here. So I'm 18 years old, working at McDonald's. And for the 1% of you that watched my first video, you'll remember Skeleton Bitch, my old crusty ass manager who looked like an albino version of fucking Dollism from Street Fighter. And she was just the most unhygienic, nasty, rude, just most disgusting manager that you will ever deal with. And I don't know if I mentioned this in my first video or not, but she actually tried to recycle a lot of the cups that were like, if cups fell down on the floor and had debris on them, she would tell employees to actually go get those cups and put them in the sanitizer water in the fucking McDonald's. And I'm like, dude, why would you do that shit? So I see this fucking dude back there. He's like a little younger than me. He's like high school. And I see him doing that shit. And I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, we have more cups. And even if we didn't, you know, you don't go doing that shit. And I'm talking to him about it. And I'm like, dude, don't do that. And then he's like, oh, such and such told me to. And I'm like, bro. Like, I know this is a corny example because parents always say it. Oh, if such and such jumped off a bridge, would you go and do it? Listen, I understand it's corny because you can barely equate anything to jumping off a bridge. But even so, I feel like that's an apt way to address this situation here. It's like, this bitch is telling you to do some shit that you know is going to put somebody's health at risk that we're serving. Why are you doing this? And then Dollism, Skeleton Bitch, just comes out the cut and she's like, hey, stop it. Like, the fuck you mean stop it? Bitch, you stop it. The hell? The fuck you talking to me about some stop it? You stop trying to fucking poison the goddamn customer, nigga. The fuck? Gonna tell me stop it when I try to make sure that somebody doesn't get sick based off of some bullshit you did to Mr. Krabs say 2 cents for a corporation that doesn't give a fuck whether your old ass croaks or not. All right. You ain't got that much time left in the tank, but they don't care how much time you have. They just care about how much money you bring them in this immediate time. And you're going this far to save a few cents for this fucking company. And I ended up cussing that bitch out, man. I'm not gonna lie. I straight up just called her a fucking idiot and just left. And like I walked back in the next day like I didn't give a fuck. She tried to write me up for it, and I got corporate involved in all this other shit, all this other mess. I'll dig deeper into it in the McDonald's video. But what is more important here is what she said to me when I came back. She said, "Do you have a problem with authority? Is that it? Do you have a problem with authority?" And that was just so mind-boggling to me at the time, because what the fuck about your quote unquote respect my authority? What about that bullshit means that I shouldn't question it when you're doing things that are just objectively fucking wrong? And it's like, maybe I do, but is that fucking incorrect? No. Obviously it's correct. All right, you look at my position and hers, it doesn't matter what the fuck the corporation says or the ladder says. Bitch, you're wrong. Why would I not have a problem with this? Why would I see what you're doing and not take a problem? You know, I think more than anything, I have a problem with unchecked authority. Motherfuckers just running wild and doing whatever they want. You know, and I've dealt with this in school as well. There was a piece of trash that this other kid threw on the floor. And while I was packing up to go home, because this was the last class of the day, they tried to make me pick the shit up when this kid just threw it on the floor. And that just shows you how you get treated when you're a subhuman, ugly fucker and black. All right, this fucking white dude and this Hispanic chick, they were the little teachers in the room or whatever. And when you're an ugly little black kid, they they literally just tried to make me do that shit for no reason. And I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that. And they tried to barricade me in the fucking room. I shit you not. So I just had to shoulder check, like right in between both of them and get out. And I'm like, what the hell, man? It's like, how am I in the wrong for taking issues with this because somebody's quote unquote in a position of authority? That's retarded. I should have a fucking problem with this. If you are wrong, I should have a problem with whatever wrong thing that you're doing. It doesn't matter your quote unquote position. And then when it comes to this position shit, man, it's like, I feel like the only people who are going to consistently be in positions like this are people that are fucking sociopaths, or at least have sociopathic tendencies, because who else treats people in this nature? Like, not just the wrongdoing and expecting to do everything unchecked. That's already fucking crazy enough. But when you look at these people, it's like just how they address everybody around them as if they're beneath them, as if they are, again, subhuman. And it only gets worse and worse the uglier you are and the more undesirable you're already considered by society. It's only going to get fucking worse. Only going to get worse, man. The way they'll talk to you just for no fucking reason, man. Like, you'll just be working and, whatever task you're doing, they'll be like, "Hey, why are you going so slow? Why are you talking to such and such?" And it's like, bro, what is the point of that? What is the point of that? Or it'll be something like, maybe you're on your phone because things are slow. Let's say you're at McDonald's or a fast food place or any sort of restaurant. Everything is slow. Customer rushes over, dishes washed, floor mopped, all that shit, right? and then you're just on your phone chilling because you got the work done. They'll just come up to you like, "Hey, off your phone, off your phone. You're on the clock. Look busy, look busy. Shut the fuck up, man. Look busy." The fact that look busy is what you're saying to me means that you're acknowledging that I've done what needs to be done, and you're just full of shit and want to make your people more miserable for no fucking reason, instead of just letting people be comfortable in their fucking work environment so that they will continue to provide the best service for your company, so that they'll continue to come in, do the best job possible, be mentally comfortable, and then all the stress they have will directly come from the work rather than some dickhead screaming down their throat. Look busy. If you see somebody that's on their phone because they think all the work is done, then that's a person that cares to make sure that all the work is being done. So if you think that you need something done, you know what would make a lot more sense? Going up to that person, "Hey man, we have such and such going on over here. Do you think you could take care of that for us?" If the person actually cared enough to make sure all the work was done that they could see before they got on their phone, I guarantee you, if you just walk up to them politely and be like, "Hey man, can you take care of this?" They'll go take care of that shit ASAP. But people don't think like that. People don't think about just treating somebody like a human fucking being, or treating somebody with respect in order to not only just not be a sociopathic piece of fucking human dog shit, but to also just get better results. It's in your best interest to not be a piece of shit to your workers. At least the ones who give a damn. And the ones who don't give a damn are never going to give a damn. So you cut them, you fire them. You don't have to keep them on board, but the people who don't do shit tend to get to stay because, hey, guess what? Those tend to be good looking people, or, you'll have a lot of these Epstein like fucking managers. And if there's a little high school girl, they're going to let that bitch do whatever because they're fucking weirdos. And same shit for females, bro. You bring the little pretty boy fucking high schooler who was on the football team or whatever, fucking female manager. They'll let them do whatever the fuck they want because they're weird as hell. And your morals are this fucking fragile and this shot, yet you come to me and have the nerve to question if I have a problem with authority. Problem with authority. Get the fuck out of here, man. Just absolute nonsense, dude. It's like you're supposed to have a problem with this. And I think that even beyond, again, like I said, beyond work and school, this is something that applies on a societal level. Think about, B pill or like doomer type channels, whatever. Not even doomer channels, just B pill channels that'll acknowledge a lot of problems that we have in society, or just how we function like animals, right? How we treat people based on how they look or their genetic makeup, and a lot of genetic determinism and things like that. Even though a lot of this shit you can't really argue against logically, people will try to shut you down for that because of the fact that it doesn't make them feel good, because they've been told that they're not supposed to think that way. You're so negative. You're so this and that. It's never anything fucking logical at all. All right. And the authority that they're submitting to is on a societal level. Because if you have a lot of people that are acknowledging these concepts that we talk about, as far as the B pill goes, you're going to be left in a position where a lot of people are realizing the fact that they don't have that much incentive, if any, to participate in this society and to break their backs or work the hard jobs or do this and that. You want the fucking sub 5 to think that, oh, if I work on my personality and I just work on my game and take accountability, you can't have a negative mentality. You want him to grind away with this quote unquote positive mentality at your shitty jobs and take part in your society fully and benefit everybody around him, just to be left at the end of his life realizing that it was all bullshit, realizing that he got fucking scammed, and that all of this shit that was supposed to come to him with a positive mindset was never coming his way. So people don't want us to talk about the shit we're talking about because they are submitting to more of a societal authority in order to keep the pawns in place and doing exactly what the fuck they need to do. They want you enslaved not even just at work. They want you enslaved not even just by doing tasks or, participating in society or voting or doing all this shit, right? They don't even want you enslaved solely in that capacity. They want you mentally enslaved to the point where you don't even think about questioning this. You don't even think about just thinking logically. You don't even think about, hey, man, if you're this short, if your face is this fucked up, your quote unquote game or your style or how you dress isn't really going to help how you're treated in society in general. If you are a 5'2" or 5'3" guy, people are going to look down on you. That's where the phrase comes from. Look down, you know, treat as lesser. As a male, you are going to be treated as lesser because people are quite literally looking down at you. So you're not going to be treated as an equal as an adult in the workplace, in school past a certain level. You are going to be shat on. If a woman is not attracted to you physically because of your genetic characteristics, your genetic makeup, your face, it doesn't matter what game you spit to her or if you use all your tricks from your $500 course, you are not going to get that box. You're not. You're not even going to get a number, bro. 9 times out of 10, sometimes you'll get it and that shit'll be fake. But yeah, you don't want people to question this and just realize how a lot of this song and dance is just that, simply song and dance. So people submit to societal authority and try to put people like us in check for talking about things like this because they don't want to have a quote unquote problem with authority. You see, you're supposed to have a problem with shit like this. That's why your body feels weird when your manager starts chewing you out. When you start getting yelled at and looked down upon, that blood starts boiling. It feels like you're about to turn into a fucking Super Saiyan, right? You just get that rush. You get that rush of adrenaline. Your body is telling you that there's something wrong. You're not supposed to be tolerating this. This is a problem. This is an issue. Okay, your body alerts you with pain signals, with physical pain, because your body is trying to tell you that there is something that needs attention. There is something wrong. Something needs to be looked at. So why do you think that you feel physical sensations when your quote unquote authority figures start treating you like shit, treating you like less than human? You're supposed to have that problem. You got nuts, nigga. You're not supposed to just take that shit. Or at least your body doesn't want you to take that shit. I understand, like, oh, you got a family, you can't just, go off and lose your job, right? I get that part. But it's like you can't question why people have these problems. And even if you got things on the line, we're only men, dude. We're only human. We can only take so fucking much before everything just becomes irrelevant. You just, you know, you succumb to those fucking animal instincts, which a lot of us try not to on a daily basis. It's always a struggle with this authority shit. But I feel like a lot of this would be alleviated if we just made it more of a norm to just hold people accountable for treating motherfuckers like this, for treating people so horribly, for trying to attack people's hearts like this, you know? And it's like, as a human being, you've experienced these feelings. You've experienced being looked down upon and treated poorly. And you know how much that destroys you. You know how long you think about that. Yet you inflict that pain on the others because you are a sociopathic piece of shit. Which is why, again, I think all of these quote unquote authority figures have to, bare minimum, at least have sociopathic tendencies. Bare fucking minimum. But yeah, man, the authority figure shit is just bullshit. I'm surprised I had that much energy this late, man. I should have been took my black ass to sleep, but yeah, I guess that's all I had to say about the main topic. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just ramble about my day a little bit. If you were just here for the main topic, you can go ahead and click off. But I'm just gonna fucking ramble. Fuck it. I'm already up too late. But yeah, I was at work on this double shift, and I was working this position I don't usually work, where I was just basically just driving around the job site and looking around and shit. And while I was driving around, I had to just blast my music as loud as possible in order to stay like somewhat awake and somewhat alert. And I actually figured out that there was a new song from Korn that I didn't even know came out. They released a song for Diablo 4 that I didn't even know anything about it. They made a song for Diablo 4 like 2 weeks ago from the time of this recording. And that shit banged, dude. I had that shit on repeat the whole fucking time during my second shift. Like that got me through it, man. That shit went hard. You guys can let me know if you want to hear me talk about music or any of that shit, right? I probably am going to at some point. If you don't want to hear about it, you can let me know too. I'll see some feedback. But yeah, that shit was nice. Um, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just circle back to the main topic a little bit too, because it kind of gets me thinking. Like this recent job that I've had as far as security, most of my managers have actually treated me respectfully. It's like, think about what you heard me say. I've been on a 17-hour fucking shift. Like these managers that treated me like shit in the past have no idea how much they could have gotten out of me if they treated me with respect. Like I feel like the amount of work I put in and how consistent I am, and again, just how good I am at my job is actually directly reflected in how I am treated. Right? I am treated like a motherfucker who should be respected because I do things that earn respect and I'm one of the better people there. So I don't have to deal with bullshit. You know, even just me being quiet, like you'll know how people try to poke and prod at you at work when you're quiet. I don't get that, man. Like they just respect the fact that I don't really talk that much, which ironically enough has led me to talk to them more, even though I don't talk that much even still. But yeah, I'll talk to them a lot more than I would any of my other managers at my other jobs, just because of the fact that they'll respect the fact I'm a quiet person. So I don't really like feel any type of spite towards them. But yeah, like that's the difference, man. Like the fact that I am here after this long ass shit shows you like, hey, like you could get you could get some crazy performances if you just learn how to talk to motherfuckers, man, and just respect people and let people keep their mental intact. All right. Any sort of stress should just come from whatever work is ahead, not all this other bullshit. You know? Oh man. Which I had my metal mix. Besides that too, some Pantera, some other shit. You know, it was pretty chill. It wasn't too bad. Again, the time was going by so slow before I started just turning the volume up and blasting my music. Uh, oh, and yeah, this one bitch was pissing me the fuck off, man. Up at the front gate, dude. I was about to clock out. Well, not about to clock out. I was waiting on my relief for the person that was supposed to substitute in for me for the position. And this bitch just walks up to me and just shouts, "I need a ride." And I'm like, what the fuck? And she just says the shit again. She's like, "I need a ride." And I'm like, huh? All right. And just like fucking, she's like, "Oh yeah, take me here. I need to go here." And this bitch smelled like cigarettes too, which pissed me the fuck off majorly. It really pissed me the fuck off that she just said that shit like that. And I'm like, just, you know what? I don't have time for this shit. Just get in. And I just gave the bitch a ride, covered my nose the whole time. And it's like, just like, why did you? I don't understand why you feel the need to talk to a motherfucker like that, man. Like, this bitch was twice my age and some change. Why would you talk to someone like that when you're asking something of someone, no matter how small? I'm not a big talker, but if I'm asking a favor of somebody, I'm gonna actually say like I got some fucking sense. But you know how bitches are, man. Like, they just, nobody ever teaches them lessons like these, and obviously at her age, it's way too fucking late. So yeah, you already know what it is as far as that shit goes. Oh man, that pissed me off. But yeah, I was listening to Boa on the way back. If any of you know of Boa, it's likely through Duvet, the song for Serial Experiments Lane, the OP. And that's how I discovered them as well a little while back when I first watched the anime. So I was listening to their album Twilight, and just on the way home, just on the ride home, that was chill. Yeah, it was nice, but yeah, I really should take my black ass to sleep, man. I'm probably gonna fucking listen to some ASMR or whatever. Fucking yandere ASMR. Willing listener, of course. Because a lot of times they'll make these scenarios that are just dream scenarios where they'll set you up and shit, and they'll put you in the house and they'll be like, oh yeah, I got all your favorite clothes and I'm gonna make you your favorite food and I'm gonna cuddle you and give you head pats to sleep every night, and yet somehow, some way your listener is trying to escape this shit. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is my character trying to get out of this? I'd never do this bullshit, so I just lose immersion. So I gotta have a willing listener, because it's like, bitch, fuck you trying to kill me if I leave. I'll kill you if you try to kick me out. The fuck? Like, the hell? Like, why would I try to escape this shit? Like, bro, look at this bitch on the thumbnail. Big ass titties, cute ass anime girl. Fucking, I got games and clothes and food and all this other shit, and I don't gotta worry about nothing. And I got somebody at night every night, and you think I'm gonna try to run away? Get the fuck out of here. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? I gotta take my black ass to sleep, bro. I'll holler at y'all later, bro. What the fuck am I talking about anymore? Yeah, I'll see y'all next time, man. God damn. You can't end it all. It's the coward's way out. Think about how much your family is going to hurt from you doing this. How could you be so selfish? People are struggling so much more than you. How could you waste this gift of life? Is it really a gift? Am I really a coward? People will throw you into this world. People will abandon you. Your own parents won't do right by you. The people that are supposed to look out for you won't look out for you. No one will care about your suffering if you talk about it. Nobody will try to put anything in place for you to try and lead a better existence. But then when people don't want to continue this existence, they're cowards. How can you question this train of thought? It's such a natural train of thought. You have an entire generation of men who have just been failed completely by everybody. Fucked up families, mothers who got knocked up by people who weren't shit, with no ability to provide for their selves, let alone their fucking child. A world that just taught you to fucking hate yourself. A school system that taught you that how you are naturally is fucking wrong. Everything about my existence is wrong. The people, again, that were supposed to guard me and protect me through my childhood and my teen years ended up being the people that stabbed me in the back the most, fucked me up the most, left me the most dysfunctional. And then you get out into this world that gives zero fucks about you. You get out into this world that will do everything to tear you down, squeeze every drop of work out of you, and then just toss you to the side when you're old and used up. Put you on pills in some fucking old folks home if you're lucky, or you'll spend your final days in a goddamn box on the side of the fucking road, begging for booze money. And men look at these outcomes. Men look at the way the world is set up, and yet somehow, some way, the first response when somebody thinks about clocking out early, when somebody thinks about rage quitting, it's always, you're such a coward. Think about the people that care about you. All right. So the suffering of the people that care about me from losing me just trumps the suffering that I'm going through by default. How bad do you think somebody has to be suffering to have a thought like this? How fucked up of a place do you think somebody needs to be in mentally, where they get to the point where they're like, I can't do this anymore. I physically cannot continue to exist. I cannot thrive in this fucking plane of existence. It can't happen for me. I can't do this anymore. How fucking bad do you think somebody needs to be hurting to think like that? So where does this assumption come from that grieving for a little while, or just being like, damn, that sucks, man, such and such died? Where do you get the idea that that is just going to be so much worse on the world than whatever I'm experiencing right now that's making me feel so strongly that I don't want to be here anymore? Where does that idea come from? People will always tell you that you need to stay, but nobody wants to help make staying actually tolerable. Nobody wants to fucking do that. Whether it's somebody who has or is supposed to have the obligation to you, like family, or your so-called friends who chose to associate with you, or whether it's just the world at large, which of course nobody's going to give a fuck about you at random. You have no value as just fucking Joe Schmo, some random man, some random ugly excess fucker. You're just supposed to lead this life of misery. You're supposed to exist in this hamster wheel of fucking torture. And you're supposed to keep going and going and going and be drained by the world. And when you even consider the thought that maybe, just maybe, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I don't want to keep going with this anymore. You're a coward. How dare you hurt people? How dare you hurt people? How dare you make somebody sad for a week? It's never how dare the fucking world make you feel this way. Nobody ever questions how the fuck you got to that point. Again, especially as a man, no one gives a fuck how you got there. They just see you there and they shit on you because you're there. Endlessly. Nothing else matters. Nothing else is fucking relevant. Okay. And I just really have to question it too, because a lot of these same people, they'll be heavy on the side, like, how do I phrase this for fucking gay ass YouTube? They'll think about terminating pregnancies early, right? Because a woman should get to choose what happens to the life of a child, a separate life from hers, okay? That's the stance that a lot of people will take. But when it comes to you as an adult person who's experienced misery of life, who's experienced how fucked up and how painful everything is, who was brought into a terrible situation and set up to fail from the start, who is damaged beyond fucking repair, beyond any possible repair, somehow, some way, people justify it not being your right to clock out early. So you can decide what happens to another life But if I decide I don't want to continue mine, I'm a coward. There's something wrong with me. I shouldn't get to make that decision. You know, if somebody even thinks that I'm on the verge of making that decision, the fucking cops are pulling up outside of you and beating the shit out of you and throwing you in the loony bin and making you want to do it even more. The fucking forcing pills on you, these fucking goy pills on you, just it's like I'm not even in a place right now to where I'm actively like this, to where I'm planning out anything. All right, so if somehow this gets found out, I'm not planning anything. I'm fucking not. But like when you're in a situation like mine, how does it not cross your mind? And why the fuck is shame the first thing that people think of if they find out that it's crossed your mind? Or if you vent about it somewhere, you are a coward, right? People will tell you how meaningless you are to this world. People will tell you that the world owes you nothing, but somehow I owe the world my suffering. I owe the world my suffering. I owe this world fucking several more miserable ass decades until I'm mercifully off of here, until I'm mercifully done, until I don't have to think, until I don't have to deal with any of this bullshit. The world owes me fuck all, but somehow I owe the world the absorption of all this fucking pain that I was doomed to from the moment I was born. I don't understand it. I don't understand how people think this is consistent or how people think that this lines up. All right. Like, people will only pretend to care about what happens with your life if you decide that you don't want to do what they're doing. And this is a theme that I've addressed in several of my other fucking videos, but it just makes people think about what they're going through, because to see a perspective like yours that is so shunned from this fucking society, it makes them think, and they don't want to think about anything that could potentially put them in the same headspace that you're in, to where you don't want to be here anymore. It scares them that maybe if they follow your train of thought and think about where they're at and their trajectory in life, maybe they'll be in the same fucking boat as you. Maybe they'll want to jump ship. So that's the real reason why. It's always about them. It's never about you. It was never really you. Most of the vitriol and hatred that's going to be directed towards you in your life is from you being a manifestation of what another person doesn't want to think about. Why do you think there's just so much hatred in general? Because people that are different others, remind the fucking normal about things that they don't want to process in their head. And wanting to clock out early is one of them. All right. They don't want to consider that, because biologically we have this impulse to constantly survive. We never had time to think like this. We never had time to think about this shit in the past, about the merits of living or dying. You were just trying to get away from that goddamn saber tooth. Okay, you were trying to. I don't even think that fucking checks out with the timeline, but whatever. You were trying to get away from the goddamn predators. You were trying to find out what kind of innovation could make you survive the fucking winter. You didn't even have time to even process the fact that maybe you didn't want to do all of this shit because you were constantly on the run. But now we're in a space where we figured out so many things, where life as an animal, we are animals, but we're so far removed from the lives that they live. And we've had this time to just sit and think about what the fuck we're really doing here. All right. We have the capacity to think about what we're doing here. Why is this worth it? Why is that worth it? Why should I do this? Why should I wake up? Why should I continue to give to a world that supposedly owes me nothing? What is the point? What is the point of all of it? Make your own point. The fuck? I mean, our own point has always biologically been just get the fuck away from the predators and survive. That's always been the point for us on an individual basis. That's no longer the point. That's been conquered since long before any of us were born. What the fuck is the actual point? Especially for somebody who is leading an existence that is cursed, leading an existence that was just, again, just set up for failure from the fucking start. Don't fucking judge people like that, man. Just don't. The excess male has become the favorite scapegoat of society. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. Because in reality, we're the result of a fucked up society. But somehow we're seen as the root cause. It just doesn't track. No matter how much you look at it, no matter how much you just analyze this, I don't understand how people come to the conclusion that guys in their 20s and late teens right now are somehow at fault for a lot of these problems in the world that we'll get blamed for. And a lot of times it's just sensationalism. Like they'll see a guy around our age range who's been outcasted by society, who's been done wrong by society, that then goes on to do some terrible things, right? And I don't have to list off examples. I'm sure a lot come to your mind. But a guy like that will come around once, twice a year. It'll make national headlines. Terrible shit will happen. And then somehow we just get just everybody in the age range, everybody in the demographic. Somehow we become the biggest threat to this, the biggest threat to society when one or two major fucked up things happens in a year involving somebody in our demographic. Somehow we're the big bad boogeyman of society because of that. It just doesn't make any sense when you look at it, because first off, who's creating people like this who go out in very small numbers and end up committing atrocities like this? Nobody wants to look at the fact that everybody's growing up in a broken home nowadays. Every single person, it looks like. You know, everybody will question, oh, why can't a man nowadays, they'll say, oh, they're not even men. They can't even do this. They can't even do that. Who the fuck was supposed to teach us? You bastards. Okay? You bastards cackling on the news and making all these fun out of this generation. You were supposed to teach us this shit. All right? You were supposed to not make broken homes and broken families. You weren't supposed to irresponsibly reproduce and then forcibly drag more suffering into this world. This is you. This is you people. And we have absolutely no allies whatsoever. Not even a lot of other guys like us. You know, a lot of other guys like us, they'll be stray dogs. They'll be essentially begging for acceptance from these people that fucking hate them.
Please, Pete, I need this.
And throw other guys in that demographic under the bus. All right. And it's just the most disgusting thing in the world. We'll get blamed for just total bullshit. Like you'll look at the economy and then people will be like, oh man, these young guys, they don't want to work. They don't want to do this and that. They don't want to. And it's like you people gave us absolutely no opportunities or tools to succeed. And then you're surprised that people want to give up. You're surprised that people don't want to work when you don't even think that working a 40-hour-a-week job should be able to support a single person. Like you'll argue over and over and over. You'll argue until you're blue in the face about how a regular job or like a laborer job shouldn't be able to afford one person living on their own. and then act surprised when people just don't want to fucking go to work. You'll act surprised that people don't want to go to school when tuition is absolutely absurd, when you have absolutely zero guarantees in this world of actually getting something after you get that slip of paper after 4 years. After that slip of paper and those hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt, you're not guaranteed shit. Yet you wonder why we're not contributing. Like, you've got to be stupid at that point. Like, even when it just comes to the whole gender thing as well, uh like violence against women or whatever, you know, a lot of times they'll look at, again, those sensational examples that I was referring to earlier, and then somehow blame the entire example or the entire issue of women being beaten or this, that, and the third on guys like us, despite the fact that not only are the guys that are actually going out and committing atrocities very low, but the majority of violence that happens against women are from people that are selected and accepted by society. You know, halo effect. You're automatically going to be assumed to be a better person if you look good, if you're taller, if your face is more aligned, right? So it's like, a lot of times, listen, a woman always has a woman to be. Always. Am I lying? A woman always has a woman to be. Yet somehow, as guys that get little to no interaction or attention from women, we're always at fault for the fact that they're being, a lot of them is just guys that you would rather select. But they'll look at, people making edgy jokes on forums or whatever and be like, that's why we have this major problem. Not to even mention that those rates have been plummeting anyways. But even beyond that part of the discussion, it's just like, how do we get blamed for this, for saying stuff on forums or for some people making jokes or anything like that, when the majority of this problem comes from guys who have been selected and accepted by society because of how they look, because they get away with stuff. And a lot of these guys will go on to be, oh my God, I fucking hate a motorcycle fag, man. South Park was really right. It should be a word specifically for motorcycle people, like just driving by all out and shit. Oh my God. But yeah, like somehow we'll be the scapegoat for that. We'll be the scapegoat for the shitty economy. We'll be the scapegoat for anything having to do with women, you know? Like, just everything. We're just the boogeyman of the world, despite the fact that we've been given less opportunities than any generation of men, especially in America, given less opportunities for everything, given less opportunities to build any kind of life. But we're at fault regardless of that. We're the boogeyman. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, and it'll never make any sense. And it's like, we just have no allies, man. We have no allies. The older guys who already got theirs, they look down on us, despite the fact that they were supposed to be teaching us shit this whole time. You know, obviously, women, they don't give a fuck, right? But then we're supposed to care about their issues. A lot of times they'll bring women's issues to the forefront and be like, oh, why isn't this specific demographic of men helping? And it's like, you're only going to mention issues having to do with us as a Trojan horse to try and push issues that you deem as more important than anything having to do with us. Like, don't ever let these feminist types just gaslight you into assisting with their causes by them having like some sort of half acknowledgement of an issue that you have for like 5 seconds. Because the moment that they can push you to the side and rebrand you as a villain again, they're going to do it. And so don't let these bitches manipulate you, man, until fighting their battles for them. Fuck them. The world has said fuck us, so we got to say fuck them right back, man. Like, I am not going to fight your causes. I am not going to fight your wars, both literally and figuratively. All right? I am not going to be fighting your wars. I am not going to be stressing myself out over a society that has already deemed me trash. I do not give a fuck. And a lot of people are just like me. I'm just sitting at work right now. on another extended shift. And I don't really have any planned direction for this video, man. I just felt this way and decided to turn the microphone on because what better way to get this out, right? I just got hit with an overwhelming gut punch of loneliness out of nowhere for whatever reason. I was doing perfectly fine, and then a switch just hit out of nowhere, and I just feel like total shit. Just absurdly lonely. And it's like I've always been a guy who's been cool being on his own. But it's just like, fuck, that just hit me out of nowhere. Just sitting in this damn truck. You know, getting dark out right now. And I guess being left here with my thoughts just kind of forced me to deal with the fact that I have these emotions inside of me. Even though it would be a lot more convenient to not have them. Just thinking about all kinds of foolish shit that I would want in my life, you know? Like friends that actually fuck with me, besides maybe two. And I'm grateful for them. But it was funny because I actually messaged one of them and he was having a damn good time, it looked like. So obviously I'm not going to dump this shit on him, right? You know, no reason for both of us to be fucking miserable. Yeah, I'm just thinking about dumb shit, man. Like things that I've already discarded consciously and logically are just surfacing for no fucking reason. Like wanting a girlfriend or to actually be able to have somebody to hold or to be able to have affection. It's like I thought I just abandoned hope of that enough to where I wouldn't even think about it. And it's like, no, that's just not the case. I'm still thinking about it. And a lot of people will say, oh, that wouldn't fix your life. That wouldn't fix anything. That wouldn't. Shut up, man. God fucking damn. It is so tiresome hearing that same shit over and over. All right, like this is natural. Do you think I want to be like this? Of course not. I am programmed to want things like that. And then I just got to thinking about like late last year, early this year, when I actually was able to have a date and I was talking to this girl for about a month and I went from KHHV to V and yeah, it was nice. And then she just, decided that she was done with me after that. And I was watching a video from Babbling Loner one time and he was talking about from his perspective how he thinks it would be better to actually at least have one or two experiences with a girl, because then when things get bad, you could look back on it and look fondly. I'm here to tell you that's a load of bullshit, man. Shout out Babbling Loner anyways, man. I agree with 90% of the shit he says. Like, I hope he's doing all right to this day, actually. I hope his channel comes back up and he comes back. But I thought about him saying that. But I'm lonely right now, and I'm in that place. I'm in that pit. And it's like there's a knife right outside of my chest. If I think about her, that knife is just getting plunged deeper and deeper. That shit makes it even worse, especially when I know it's highly unlikely that I would ever have anything like that again. I was toyed with after fucking shot after shot after shot. I was able to be toyed with once and be able to feel what affection feels like for like an hour. and and I'm just gonna have that in my brain for so long. Like, damn, man, it's just fucking terrible like this. And it's like I can logically reason about it, but it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I know what I look like in the face. I know I'm ugly. I know I don't have any sort of special traits that could carry me to be able to have some sort of relationships or even have friendships with the average guy, because, guys are only wanting to really be friends with guys that could potentially get them access to pussy. Let's be honest here. Like, this whole male loyalty, male friendship shit, it exists. It's very rare. I've experienced it, but 99.9% of the time, it's total bullshit. But I wouldn't even have to worry about that if I had, I guess, what most people are looking for. But it's like, I'm even disgusted thinking about that, because it's like, people like that, do I really want to deal with 99% of people? No. But at the same time, not having the access to what a normal person would have, and that just gut wrenching realization that the cards I was dealt will never be able to afford me that, it's just eating at me. It's just eating at me. As soon as I was left in a position like this quiet ass post at my job, to where I actually have to be alone with my thoughts, this is what happens to me. I crumble. It doesn't matter that I understand on a logical level why it's like this. It doesn't matter that I've made conscious attempts to not think about shit like this. I'm still human. It doesn't matter how troublesome these emotions are. It doesn't matter what attempt I make to discard them. I hate it, man. I hate it so much. I hate being like this. I hate the fact that I will never be able to escape being susceptible to mood swings like this. I hate the fact that I even was delusional enough to go out that one fucking time to give myself a memory that could permanently haunt me and torment me. I hate myself for that. I hate myself for being born, to be honest. Like, damn. I don't know why I allowed myself to be brought here. Fetus me should have had a little more awareness, man. Um, we were not going to go far on this planet. It's like the fact that I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore, man. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just, I want to escape. I want to escape everything. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want thoughts like this to run through my head anymore. I don't want to yearn for things that I cannot have. Yeah, I guess that's all I had to say. Welcome to the NHK is one of my favorite anime of all time, and one of the few light novels that I've actually read. It's one of the series that really showed me the capability of anime outside of a lot of the fighting and shonen, outside of the fighting and shonen stuff that I was more so watching. And I'm still definitely a shonen tard, but NHK is definitely one of the shows that kind of helped me broaden my horizons, along with Clannad and Clannad After Story, which is so ironic because that is the tale of two completely different lifestyles, two completely different struggles. You got one loser dropout from society, and you got one family man who goes through the ringer of life, but is just uh he just goes through the ringer, but he has his family to lean back on, and then just starts to question the meaning of life when that starts to falter a little. So yeah, I could probably talk about Clannad and Clannad After Story in a different video, because that's a very meaningful anime as well. But yeah, with NHK, it is like a quintessential anime. If you've been in any kind of space where you're talking about guys who have just gotten the short end of the stick from humanity, when you talk about guys who have just been fucked over from society, from the womb till the tomb. All right, like that's why you'll see not so much anymore, but especially in like, you know, late 2000s, early 2010s, you would see a fair bit of Sato PFPs, right? Because it really is the quintessential anime for guys like us or in this circumstance. And I haven't really seen any people perpetrate it or like try to act like they like it when they don't. Like pretty much everybody that I see that engages with this anime in any capacity, like genuinely loves it. I've seen the anime 3 times and read the light novel just as many times, I think. But I still have yet to read the manga. I need to do that. But the English printings of that, uh, they go for pretty high last time I checked. So I'm gonna just have to read scans of that shit. But yeah, just obviously it fits with a lot of us, man. You got a guy who just kind of dropped out from society. He has a lot of mental issues, a lot of mental problems. He's I mean, yeah, he just fits with a lot of us. And I feel like a lot of people misinterpret this one part. He meets Masaki eventually. And obviously he was cool with Yamazaki and that helped him get out a little bit, man. Like he was being a little productive, making that shitty ass game. They had some good times together. But I feel like a lot of people misinterpret the Masaki part because of how deep in a hole they're in. And they don't understand what Masaki was used to do in the series because you'll see a lot of guys talk about there's no Masaki to come save me. Where's my Masaki? Well, what? When's a bitch just gonna knock in my door and decide to save my life? And a lot of guys misinterpret that, man. That was never really the point of Masaki in the show. The point of Masaki in the show was to show you this dream scenario in which, again, just some cute girl just shows up at your doorstep and is like, hey, I'm here to fix your life, right? And show you that even in that fucked up ass, like, not fucked up, but even in that crazy, improbable, damn near impossible scenario where she straight up shows up at your door and you have to hide all your hint magazines and your fucking tissues and shit. All right. Even in this scenario, which she just shows up at your door, it doesn't mean a damn thing, bro. Because that bitch can't say shit about you. She can't. Every time Sato makes progress in the series, it is due to something that either he did directly or something that he did with Yamazaki. Every effort that Masaki directly attempts to make in order to help Sato ends up in catastrophe. When they did their first little counseling session in the park, that basically just ended up in Sato being a dickhead and sexually harassing her, right? Like the little snake dream scene. I forget exactly how that went, but that was funny.
精神分析。フロイトさんって人が考えて19世紀くらいから流行したらしいよ。大学中退の佐藤くんにはきっとさっきまでの学術的な話は難しくて理解できなかったでしょうが。
こいつ、俺がフロイトも知らないと思ってるのか。だったらじっくり分析してもらおうじゃないか。すごく巨大でたくましい蛇が出てきた。その蛇が海に潜ってリンゴに太い剣を突き立てた。黒光りする立派な拳銃を撃ちまくった。
拳銃。フロイトは終了。次はユング。
いや、ユングはいいから。 夢分析の結果はどうなったんだよ。だから、たくましいヘビは、剣は、銃は、何を象徴してるの？それを、美咲ちゃんの口から聞かせてくれよ。
There was just so much shit that she tried to do in order to help Sato. Like, oh my god, when she showed up in the little cat girl costume, when he got addicted to that MMO.
佐藤くん。
は？
ほえほえほえほえほえほえ。
にゃーにゃにゃーにゃー。お願い佐藤くん、正気に戻って。にゃー。
何言ってんか全然わかんねえよ。
一体何のつもりだよ、その格好は。
だって佐藤くん、ゲームの中でこんな感じの女の子にメロメロになってて。
関係はそんな見かけ上のものじゃないんだ。変な茶化しを入れると、たとえ美咲ちゃんだって容赦しないぞ。コスプレしたいんだったらコスパにでも行け。
Oh my fucking goodness, man. That whole scene was just, I felt so bad for just crying and meowing and running off and shit. But yeah, like nothing that she did was able to get him out of that funk. Absolutely nothing. And by the end of the series, which I mean, I guess I'll just tell you to click off the video now if you haven't seen it. Spoiler alert. Because if you are a kind of guy who watches this kind of content, you definitely need to watch NHK. So I'm going to tell you, go ahead and click off the video now if you haven't seen it. But yeah, by the end of the series, where he ends up having to get the J word, the accursed J word, right? And remember, this came out in the 2000s, so you could actually still get an accursed J word without immense effort. Okay? He had to get that because of his circumstances in life, because his parents could no longer support him. It had fuck all to do with Misaki. Like, at the end of the day, she was a person that was just as fucked up as him. She had her own abuse she was going through. She had her own shit that she was going through. And she saw him as a way to give some sort of meaning to her life. And she wasn't even able to do that, which is why you had that whole scene at the end where he's essentially having to quote unquote save her, right? So yeah, like Masaki, the point of Masaki is to show you that even if a chick showed up and was straight up like, hey, I'm here to fix things for you, even in that crazy scenario, you're still going to be a loser, which is funny as hell. You're still going to be a loser. The show is telling you, if a bitch showed up right now and you got exactly what you wanted, you're still gonna be a fucking loser. And a lot of people don't see that, man. Maybe it's just because it's been a while since they've seen the series, and I'll rewatch it quite a bit. But yeah, like they just don't see that part, that the point was to create this dream scenario and show you that even in this dream scenario, you're still gonna be a loser. That's the funny part too with Sato, is that a lot of shit was going pretty decently for him. I'm pretty sure in the series, like by the other characters, he was described as not bad looking. He was smart. He knew a decent amount of philosophy, things like that. Obviously, his family loved him, which is why he was able to need out. His family had to be sending him quite a bit because in the light novel, he was taking some powders and substances. He was indulging in those quite frequently, so they had to be sending him some money. But again, I know some people are gonna say, "Oh, it's cope if you don't think I would be happier if a chick showed up at my door." And it's like, life is a struggle, bro. Life is fucking misery. And yes, it does get significantly worse when you're in a position like us to where you're socially disadvantaged. You're disadvantaged in terms of what you look like, which again just affects everything else socially. But I do think that it's a good thing to remember that just because you got what you wished for in the first place, or this dream scenario you're in, that you might put yourself in your mind to where you just have what you want that just fixes your life, it might not do that, dude. Because this world's a piece of shit, especially when you're born into a position that leads people to shit on you. And that's what I think people really misinterpret about NHK more than anything. While I'm on the topic, I know this wasn't directly in the video, but it is NHK related. So I kind of wanted to mention it because it's, yeah, it's something that just really sticks with you no matter where you are in life. And it was a quote that Asato was saying to Yamazaki in the series about how, basically just about how your life is not a drama, about how your life is just left with these vague anxieties every single day. Like you don't get to just build towards something or build towards a resolution or build towards a climax. You're left with a vague anxiety at the end of every single day until eventually you croak. All right. And that just really stuck with me because that's damn near how NHK ended. Like Sato got the and we knew him and Masaki were still in contact. And, other people in his life got their quote unquote happy endings by the end of the series. But Sato, there was just kind of just this vague anxiety. Masaki wasn't officially his girlfriend. We didn't know whether or not he was doing better at his. It was a vague anxiety. And I think that ties into something else as well. Another Yamazaki, man, he was the fucking goat of that series. He really was. Yeah, when Sato tried to delete himself with the rest of the self-deletion group, Yamazaki was talking about how guys like him, guys like us, aren't really meant to have any type of dramatic death going on, man. Like, we just, I guess I can kind of combine the two quotes, man. Like, we're just left to kind of deal with these vague anxieties, but we're not really meant to just go out in some sort of fictional blaze of glory, man. Like, we just deal with this shit, man. We deal with it over and over and over. We deal with the misery, we deal with the pain until we don't have to anymore. And most of the time, that's not going to be our decision, which is why I feel like so many people in the space kind of romanticize that idea, because it's one of the few times where that doesn't have to be the case. It's one of the few times where you're like, yeah, I control my own. I don't need no fucking help, right? I, yeah, I just control how I go out. I don't have to be here. I don't have to be in this limbo. I can go out how I want to. But our biological impulses, like our physical body is trying to preserve us every single day, which is why you have to be going through very immense pain or have a very intense mental disorder to even be able to go through with something like that. So even most guys like us who are downtrodden and in these terrible positions are not going to be able to do that, which is why it's just like such a dreamy, again, like romanticized scenario for a lot of people in this space. It's something that's fantasized damn near as much as having, powers in a harem of big titty elf bitches, Like just being able to go out on your own terms and opt out of these vague anxieties on your own. But yeah, I think I'm probably gonna end up making another rant video about NHK when I do my next rewatch. But yeah, that was just something that was on my mind today. One of the main things that makes working so soul sucking for me is how they'll just change shit on a dime as soon as you get comfortable with the system. And no matter what line of work you're in, I know you can relate to it. It doesn't matter if you're working fast food. It doesn't matter if you're working a fucking blue collar job, white collar job, whatever, man, warehousing. It seems that whenever you get into a flow state where you can finally actually do something at your job without even really thinking about it, whenever you get to a point where you can finally start your duties without having that same sense of dread you used to have, everything fucking changes. And that's what I've been dealing with for these past 2 months at this job. Uh, Again, like I've said before, I'm pretty lucky. Again, I do security, so shit is not that difficult in terms of physical labor. But even at my job, even with my position being as simple as it is, this aspect of work did not go away at all. Today was the fucking breaking point, but it's been happening again, like I said, over the past few months. They just change everything around. Like, we used to do patrols one time in the building and one time out of the building per hour. And then just at complete random, they decided they were going to change it and say, actually, you do one patrol at the start of your shift. Then for the rest of the shift, go outside and don't come inside unless you call out an approved break on the radio. And I'm like, who the fuck just randomly decides that shit? Like, just out of nowhere, you just change the whole shift up. Just insane, man. And they just added all these little forms and shit you have to complete. They made it to where anybody on the site, we have to do 3 random checks on people in the building per day and ask to see their badge to be on the building. It's just so much weird shit is going down. And it's just always something that happens at every job you go to. And while from our perspective, it might seem like just sheer incompetence, I don't think that you get to that size through fucking incompetence. I think it's intentional. I think it's an intentional breaking of your spirit, because you don't want somebody to actually be able to take a load off mentally after they get off of work. You don't want work becoming so easy for your people that, again, when they get off of work, they can just do what they want to do, you know, create art, hang out with their friends, do whatever. You want that spirit broken, all right? You want a motherfucker to be so tired and fed up with the shit that's going on at work that he comes home and bitches to himself in his fucking car for 5 viewers about how fucked up it is. You don't want that motherfucker having any free time where he's not thinking about what the hell he's doing for your company. So when you change shit around and you make a motherfucker think so much about what the hell is happening at work, they become more of a drone, which I'm already sort of a fucking drone. Like I said, man, just working crazy hours to avoid thinking about life and all this shit. And when I was finally starting to heal and recover a little, They just switch shit around just for the hell of it, just to fuck with you, just to break your spirit. I really feel like that's it. I don't think it's incompetence. I think it's an intentional shift to make sure that you don't have any kind of mental freedom. And it is very sinister. It is a very sinister thing. Oh my God. Like, and then they want you to train people afterwards as well. Like, when you just adjusted to the new system yourself, they'll bring new people on board and tell you to show them the ropes. Like, motherfucker, you ain't even told me where the ropes are yet. You took them out of the ring, you scatter them around the arena, and you told me to find the sons of bitches. I don't know where the fucking ropes are. All right? Why don't you put them bitches back up? Yeah, man. I think it just ties into the other things too, like earbuds. I have a work approved beanie that I'm allowed to wear, so I just sneak an earbud under that. I've seen a fair amount of people get those little mini ones off of Instagram that you can like barely see. They'll be like all the way in your fucking ear. You know, some people use those. That's a pretty good strat. But that's another thing, man. That's just mentally breaking you. That doesn't have anything to do with your fucking productivity. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure any damn study you'll look at will show you that somebody will do better work if they have a music to listen to, or if they have some sort of podcast to listen to or something like that. They'll get into a better flow state. But it's not about producing better results. Once again, it is about breaking your fucking spirit and breaking you down. It is about making sure that when you take your ass home, you're thinking about what you need to do for these people the next day. When you get off on your weekend, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so fucking glad that I don't have to deal uh, with what these people want me to deal with. You don't even have your own mental space anymore. Oh my God, man. Yeah, it's just a sinister ass system. It's fucked up. And I don't even know what I'm really supposed to do, because I'm finally at a point where, yeah, I have a year, a little over a year of experience in security. So, tech in any other job market, I would be able to say, I'm sick of this shit. It's time for another job. Bro, shit was so fucking bad before I was able to get this, man. And it's like I was barely able to get this job with no experience. And the security company I'm at now, that was really one of the few hire anybody places left. Just the hire anybody place. Oh my God, like hire anybody is an understatement too, because I remember they had this one fat autistic guy who was working with me. He was like 280, which I know specifically for a reason I'll tell you later in this story, of course. But he was patrolling with me, and I was, showing him everything. And the cracks started to show very early, because he like missed the door that he was supposed to badge through and accidentally set off an alarm. Wasn't a big deal. Happens a lot of time when you're training somebody. I called it in, and then he started having like a little mini panic about it, like apologizing over it. I'm like, it's cool, man. Don't even worry about that shit. But that was the first crack that started to show. And, then he started lagging behind a little bit, but I'm not really a fast walker myself. But I wasn't really that worried about it. But then when we got outside for the exterior patrol, because this is when they actually had shit normal, this motherfucker just goes full breakdown mode, starts crying like AC/DC. And it's just like, fuck, I'm 280 pounds. I can't do this. I can't walk all day. And I'm like, God damn, bro. Go to the fucking break room. And that's just where I left his ass. And I'm like, bro, I was looking at my supervisor like, man, you ain't shit. Because you knew damn well that motherfucker was unwell. And you're going to stick him on me? You're going to stick him on me when you knew that motherfucker didn't know. Oh, my God. See, that's the kind of motherfucker that should be on goddamn disability. I don't like how they hand out a lot of certain shit to people who aren't really in need of it. That motherfucker just actually needs to go on it, bro. Because what the fuck? Man, lost your damn mind putting this guy on my fucking... Oh. I don't know if that was another humiliation ritual that motherfucker had planned for me. It seems like it. It really does seem like it because I was trying to work with him and, you know, he was asking a lot of different shit that I didn't exactly know. So I think that was another spirit breaker there. Or maybe in that specific case, it really was just mental retardation. And I'm not talking about from the guy that was working with me. I'm talking about from the people that stuck him with me. Because not only that, I also overheard them trying to figure out how they were going to use him afterwards. So to circle back around to my original point, it really was one of the few hire anybody places left. But even they're starting to get more strict with it. Like, I heard they had this one test full of security questions that they didn't even go over in the training module because when I got on, basically, if you were paying attention in the fucking training class, even a little bit, you were going to pass. And even if you weren't, you straight up had a packet that you could dig through for answers. There's like 100 questions. I think I missed one. But now they have security related questions that weren't even being gone over in the specific training material. So even that job is starting to be, you know, more stringent with who they're actually letting onto the shift and who they're letting work. So even though I have my little security experience now, and I'm probably gonna, you know, start dropping the maps, get on that fucking Indeed and fill out 100 different fake applications and then have 3 of them for an actual posting and then get rejected for that because I don't have a fucking master's degree to walk around outside of a building. This job market is so fucked, dude. Oh, man. So the market is fucked and they're straight up toying with me. They're pretty much just pushing my limits now, pushing everybody's limits. Oh, I didn't even get into what happened today that sparked this fucking topic. Basically, there's a door on the roof that stays locked, so even if you badge through it, like you can't get through. It just flashes red. So nobody's allowed to get through that door typically. You have to put a guard there to call and have the door be unlocked. Then while the door is unlocked, you basically just sit there. But it's pretty chill. You're not technically supposed to be on your phone or whatever at any post at the job, but it's like it's out of the way, so nobody really cares if you are. And you know, you just kind of chill. But then they changed it. Like today, they just decided while I was on the roof that if anybody needs to go to the roof door, instead of like being in front of the roof door so nobody else badges through it, I'm supposed to go downstairs to a particular part of the building, which is considered like a sensitive part that you're not supposed to have like any sort of electronics or anything like that. I'm supposed to go to that part of the building and walk around that part of the building all fucking day while they're on the roof door. Because supposedly there's like some sort of small place where they could potentially get through the fucking, like, it's just so retarded, man. And that's how they did shit. That's what they want me to do now. So I was in that specific area all day, just lapping around. And that's when the video idea popped in my head, dude. I'm like, I need to get this shit off my chest because they've been doing this for months and months and months. And it's happened at every fucking job that I've worked. They just change shit around and make shit harder for you, man. And I had a shitty ass shift today. And again, I think it worked. It mentally drained me because I'm waking up after like a little, 3 or 4 hour nap. And I'm not even going to lie about it, dude. I got home, I fucking slop maxed, I ate straight nonsense, and I went the fuck to sleep, which is literally exactly what they want. And I've just been here, like, yeah, man. I guess that's all I really had to say. Like, these people will do anything to break your spirit. Okay, I am making this second part of the recording like a few weeks after I recorded the first part of this video. This is off topic, so if you don't want to hear about gameplay bullshit, you can click off now. But I knew the moment that I played through this part of the story, this rant was fucking coming because this shit pissed me off so fucking much, bro. Oh my god, these androids are so cheesy. I know y'all see me getting my ass absolutely handed to me by these fucking clankers, bro. They are just so annoying, man. Like, constant key advantage, constant supers. Like, you can barely do shit against them. I was looking up this fight on fucking YouTube to try and see if I was just crazy. Like, I'm playing on max difficulty, but you guys have watched me play this game. I don't struggle that much. And then, lo and behold, I go to other places on YouTube. Motherfuckers are getting their asses whooped just like me, getting absolutely destroyed, annihilated, violated, and fucking molested by these piece of shit fucking clankers. This felt like I was actually Trunks. This felt like I was actually Trunks in this fucking fight, getting my ass whooped by these fucking androids, bro. And it just pissed me off to such a high degree. It would be fine if I was supposed to lose this fight, and that's why they're so hard. No, bitch, you're supposed to fucking win. And I'm getting my ass whooped this hard. Oh my god, man. Just like the constant key advantage, the constant super spamming. It just made me so fucking mad just even watching it back and putting it over. I didn't know what video I was going to use it for, but since it's this one, I'm going to get my fucking frustration out now because this is giving me PTSD just seeing the shit on the screen. So because I am so pissed off about this, I want to let y'all know I got my ass whooped for like an hour straight playing this exact same goddamn fight. So just so I can feel a little vindicated, I am going to put the one I won in this video. There is no more recording. There is no more topic for video on this. I am just going to put me winning this fight at the end of this fucking video so I can have at least a little bit of peace of mind. So yeah, you don't have to stick around for this part, but I need this to be here because this shit just traumatized the hell out of me, bro. Fuck these goddamn clankers, man. God damn. My personal space is probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing to my life. I really do not like having people around me or anywhere near my space. I really need my personal space. I don't know if any of you remember this from Rick and Morty, but the personal space show that, stay out of my personal space. Get out of that. Like, that dude was me.
Hey, who's around me right now? Who's around me? Now, why don't we step up here and everybody get stepped up, and let's get some stepped up personal space up in this place. Here we go. We get a 1, personal space. 2, personal space. 3, stay out of my personal space.
I haven't watched Rick and Morty since season 3 because that shit was ass, but that was funny. Anyways, what brought this topic to my mind was when I was at work today, and I was going to this place that I usually go to that's kind of away from everybody and out of the way. More recently, as of the past few months, a lot more contractors have been coming to this job site. So the break room has been incredibly crowded. And I park like a solid 10 minutes away from where I actually work. So going to my car isn't an option. And the entire break room is crowded. But I found this area that's not too far from the time clock that I can kind of hang out in. And, I take my lunch there. I take my breaks there. Everything's cool. Nobody said anything to me about it. But somebody was there in the space that I usually go to, and I was so damn irritated, bro. Like, I was so fucking annoyed. And obviously, it's not the guy's fault, right? It's public space. There's like chairs near there. He can be there, obviously. I'm not saying that he's fucked up or anything. But that kind of frustration that I had with that one little bastion of personal space and like kind of privacy that I kind of had, like, I know it's very childish, but it's like I just don't like I really need that space, man. Like I just get so uncomfortable when I don't have the space, man. It's just it just pisses me off. But I think a lot of this stems from my childhood and just having no options in terms of personal space. Like I was in a crowded ass homeless shelters when I was a kid multiple times before. When I was staying with my grandfather and my mother, I was in the living room on the couch and there was a dog and the entire place was broken down. And she was very abusive and controlling to the point where she would barely let me leave from around the house. Like if I walked and she couldn't see me from peeking her head across the street, she was shouting at me and trying to get me to come back. So I had just nowhere to be, no space at all. Like I've just been constantly forced to share my space, and I'm just an introverted, quiet motherfucker. Like a lot of my hobbies and interests are things that I can kind of handle solo. But growing up, I just never really had any kind of personal space that I could reliably go to or reliably have. So I guess I've really just been trying to create said personal space, like in the different situations where I'm at. Obviously I'm at work a lot, so I'll crawl away. It just feels like walls are closing in around me if a person is too close to me, man. Like if I'm walking and somebody else is on the sidewalk, or if, like that example from earlier, if somebody's in a space that I'm usually at, or like one of the few spaces I can be to where I'm not completely crowded in, I feel like actually suffocated. Like I just feel so damn cramped. It becomes hard to breathe sometimes. Like, I know it sounds bitch made and it might be, but it's like, damn, man. It's just so hard. Just sitting on a bench too. Like if somebody sits where I'm at and it just feels too close for me, I will just book it. I will just shift. I will just completely leave. And it's even worse if it's a female dude, because like if it's a dude, it's 50-50 if I know him, or if there's any odor or not. Of course, that's another thing. But when it's a female, it's significantly worse because I have a lot of fears. I don't know if you guys watched the video, but I had an instance at work where some chick tried to pull some bullshit on me and essentially accused me of being on some Epsteinery. And like that shit scared the fuck out of me. But I was already scared since I was a child, man. Like, you know, if I see a chick sitting next to me or whatever, again, I just book it. I just leave because it's like, am I going to fucking go to jail if I dare to tilt my head the wrong way? Or like, what is the wrong way? Like what's gonna happen to me? Am I gonna be fucking lynched and beaten? Like, and I know it sounds over dramatic, but it's like the whole Emmett Till shit happened, like I was talking to you about. And that story was something that was ingrained into my head since I was a child. So I never take that shit lightly when it comes to females, man. And it's pretty funny because a lot of women, and it's not all, but it is a very significant portion of the female population that'll just kind of make us all out to be these big, bad, scary, racist boogeyman monsters, right? And then they'll also complain about like not having humanity if a dude doesn't want to help a chick that's in a bad situation in public. And it's like, dude, like you already said we're all villains and all bad and all this and all this bullshit. It's like, why do you not understand why we would just kind of withdraw and be like, hey man, I don't even want to be close. And it's even worse if you're black because like from the time you're a little kid, you are considered a grown man. Like if you're a black boy, you don't get to be a black boy. As soon as you walk, you're a black man. All right. When you're a little baby, it might be, oh, cute. Look at the little monkey baby, right? Oh, look at him. As soon as you can walk, you're just a full grown nigga in the eyes of a lot of people, right? Like I remember this one time I was a little kid at McDonald's with my mother. She was going to the bathroom and I was just waiting on her. And this old white bitch, she looked like she was probably in those damn feminist rallies in the 60s or whatever. She did look the type. And she just comes looking at me, and I'm not even looking towards there or anything. I'm just standing like somewhat close by the bathroom because my mom is there and I'm waiting on her. And she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, huh? And she's like, why are you standing so close to the women's restroom? What are you doing? And I'm like, bro, I'm a little fucking kid. Like, I know this is something that a woman may or may not be comfortable with, but this is very commonplace. If you're a little boy that was if you were ever a little boy that had a single mother, you'll relate to this. Like some mothers, like they won't want their kids to go to the fucking men's bathroom alone if they don't have like a guy to be there with them. So like some mothers, they'll just take like a little boy, like just into the bathroom with them and they'll just use it. That is a very common occurrence. And it's like, again, I understand how you may or may not be comfortable with that, but that is not some out of this world shit, right? So, like, but it doesn't matter because in her eyes, I was a grown ass man peeping, and this bitch was just so wrinkly and old and saggy and crusty. And I'm like, bitch, even if I was looking, I guarantee you're safe. There ain't nobody looking at all that, bro. Get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Bitch, you look melted. You look like a fucking albino mass of flubber. And you want to like just act like I'm up here peeping at you or some dumbass shit. Get the fuck out of my face, bitch. But it doesn't matter because if you a little black boy, you are a grown ass man as soon as you can walk. I'm sure not even I'm sure, I know that they've done studies on this to where like black kids will literally be perceived as older. So it didn't matter to her that I was a little ass boy waiting on my mom. You know, I was just a grown ass man looking at her saggy ass folds. Or at least that's what she thought, right? Yeah, that shit, man. That pissed me off majorly. But yeah, it's like I just don't want to share my personal space, especially like again, if it comes to women, if they're walking and like our path is kind of similar, I will just diverge paths completely because that is just fucking anxiety, man. That is anxiety inducing. I don't even want to have to think about that shit at all. So yeah, When it comes to work, though, it gets a little different because at Walmart I had a decent little friend circle or whatever. So even when I made my little hideaway fort in this fucking abandoned area of the back of the fucking warehouse that I'd go to when the break room was crowded, my friends would go back there and we'd chill and we'd have fun. Uh, Again, we were just big ass kids back then, man. Like we were just like talking about all this dumb shit, playing all these stupid ass videos. Me and my friend, I don't know why, just every single time it was on site, we would just start wrestling immediately. Like we would just scrap every time we saw each other. But yeah, that was fun because I had like some people I was comfortable with, I guess, so it didn't really matter as much. Yeah, man, like that personal space, that shit is absolutely life for me. Oh yeah, another example that I have as far as the woman thing. Uh, there was this video at the gym, and this chick almost fucked herself up on a barbell. This dude's eyes looked over for like a split second when he saw her fuck herself up, and he just looked the other way and just went back to his lift. And the comment sections were all like, "Oh, how dare you!" And it's like, aren't we racists and monsters and all this shit? And you'd rather be mauled to death by a bear than take a chance on a man, right? Like didn't y'all say again? They didn't even say rapist or a bear. They said man or a bear. You're not gonna gamble on the 99% of dudes that aren't gonna do some fucked up shit like that to you, and you're just going to take a guaranteed mauling to death. And that is just like the general opinion of females on men. So it's like, obviously, we don't want to be anywhere near you unless it's 1,000% necessary. Like it is a issue of personal interest. It's a fucking issue of personal interest, man. Like I can't be fucking near you. You can fuck me up. You can fuck my life up and do all kinds of shit to me, record me, whatever the fuck. And people are going to take your side because your distress is like the most important thing in this society. So the fuck, obviously, I'm not going to be near you. But yeah, it's not just women. There's just an extra layer of it when it comes to women, but it's just people in general. Uh, it reminds me of this Kurt Cobain thing when he had this interview, and he was talking about one of his favorite books, Perfume, that inspired the song "Scentless Apprentice." And basically, the book was about this guy, and like he was going through, and anytime he would see any type of sign of human life or like a campfire or anything like that, he'd get sick and not want to be around people. And Kurt said he related to that. And I really relate to that too, man. It's just, yeah, I just need to be able to fucking isolate and just be away and just have my space whenever I need it. I need to be able to just create my domain and just be there. But yeah, that's all I had to say about this, man. Stay away from that personal space. If you're going to have social anxiety, you best be a good looking woman because that's the only way that it's ever going to be allowed. That's the only way that anyone is going to kind of have any type of understanding about it. All right. And it's kind of weird because we've had this sort of higher awareness around neurodivergency and autism and, other things like that. But even with it being more prevalent and more commonly referenced, you'll kind of see these signs still be completely disregarded when it comes to an ugly guy. And it kind of reminded me too of that one anime that Comey Can't Communicate. I'm sure you all know about it. But that's kind of how you have to sell it. You have to sell the message through a cute girl, right? You can't just have some motherfucker just not know how to talk to people as a man. You are going to be shown zero mercy about that whatsoever. And it's fucked up because we've grown up in a society to where it's increasingly more common for a lot of us to have social issues because of how we were raised. And it's only gotten worse with the younger generations, but even with me, it was bad. Like, I had a helicopter parent, fucking helicopter mom, always making shit hard for me, always making shit difficult. Uh, not teaching me shit right socially so that I could actually be able to make decent friends or know what to do in certain situations. The only thing I wasn't too nervous to do was defend myself if I was being bullied. That is the only thing I could consistently do. But besides that, I was just fucking nervous to everything. And I didn't realize I was, or maybe it's just more so I was kind of in denial that I was, because it's just ingrained into our heads in this society that a guy who doesn't know how to socialize, or a guy that doesn't know how to talk, an ugly guy who doesn't know how to talk, is a threat, right? Like, you'll see the shit in school too. Like, kids will be talking about it and they'll look at a guy and they'll say, oh, he's a potential school blanker, right? They'll say that about somebody despite the fact that they're in that school. So you look at a guy who's struggling and going through things, and yet you see him as a potential threat, but at the same time, you're going to poke the bear, so to speak. That is so fucking stupid. At that point, you damn near, I'm not going to say that. Anyways, man, like, yeah, that's just how we're perceived. We're perceived as threats if we just can't really talk or speak up in certain situations, even though nobody really helped us with this shit. Our parents were no good with it, you know? Like, people have just been automating more and more of their parenting and just pushing more of it onto school and like these other systems that just don't give a fuck about your kids. Then they come out maladjusted, and maybe they'll get some grace if they're good looking, you know, if it's a good looking guy, tall guy, and he comes out fucked up. They'll be like, oh, you know, he's all, oh, he's mysterious, you know? Oh, I like a cute, shy guy. That's what they'll talk about, right? But you already know how it is for your ugly ass, man. You don't get even 10% of that fucking grace. And it's become less severe for me over the years, but it's always been bad. Um, like when I moved out from my mother and my grandfather's house and with my aunt, I remember like trying to step out into certain public spaces and I would just get so fucking nervous, man. Like, I tried to even just walk in a mall by myself, and I hit it decently well, but I was fucking panicking internally, man. It was bad. It was real bad. Yeah, it was fucked up. And then the shit even follows me today. Like, for the most part, I can do basic things well now, but occasionally I'll find myself back into those old modes. Like, I'll just be talking with a friend. I don't have many friends. I don't talk to that many people, but I'll be talking to one of the few people that I've vetted and that I'm actually comfortable with speaking to on a regular basis. And I will just randomly choke. Okay, I'll just randomly fucking be rabbit. I won't know what the fuck to say. Like, it could be just some basic shit. Basic question, do you want to do such and such? And then just snap, it kicks in. It kicks in, and now all of a sudden I'm back to that mode that I was in, you know, that nobody fucking helped me with. And if I'm in public and it happens, if I'm in a situation where it's not somebody like one of my friends to where I could just be or to where they're kind of used to it and they understand, it's like, oh, you know, he's just in, you know, uh temporary shutdown mode. He's being a fucking autist, you know, and then it'll pass. He'll come back to us. They understand. But if I'm just out in society doing shit and any of my mannerisms or any of how I talk is off, I am immediately going to be deemed as a threat. It's going to be seen as scary, right? It's going to be seen as scary. Oh, why is he looking like that? Why doesn't he make that's another thing that's weird. Why doesn't such and such make eye contact? And it's like, if I was always staring into your soul, you don't see that as more threatening rather than less. I don't get that, man. But it's like, again, you just get no understanding when you don't have the right face, the right attributes. You know, the funny part about it is, especially with short guys too, they will get completely shit on by it. But again, a tall, good looking guy might get away with it. But it's funny because, like, the guy that is bigger and objectively probably poses a bigger threat to you if he decided to do anything is the one you're more comfortable with when they act outside of the social norm. That's fucking hilarious irony. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you guys already know Halo or an effect. I don't have to go over that shit. Just fucked up. You will get zero understanding whatsoever as a man if you are not always able to hold your own in social situations. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about this. Depression is a life sentence. There is no escape from it. There's band-aids, patches, little remedies to temporarily alleviate the pain. Some are healthier than others. There's pros and cons to all of them. But the one thing that holds true across any of these is that none of these is a permanent solution. As a matter of fact, there is only one permanent solution. And people who are stuck with depression tend to think about that permanent solution a lot. See, a lot of people just don't really understand how deep it goes. They don't understand how it just attaches itself to you across your entire daily life. It doesn't matter how you try to move. It doesn't matter if you're trying to go to sleep, if you're at work, if you're talking with friends, if you're doing leisurely activities that you would typically enjoy. It's always going to drag you down every single time. Certain things just can't be changed. And I don't really know how you would specifically be given it, but once you have it, it just doesn't fucking go away. And I think obviously having a fucked up childhood is probably one of the biggest precursors for ending up with depression, which I'm sure a lot of us have. And the shit that happens to you in that developmental period does not go away. You don't forget about it. You'll see videos from guys that are well into middle age, guys that are in their 40s and 50s, talking about bullies in middle school that they didn't stand up to. Or talking about adults that violated them when they were little. Like, that shit doesn't leave you. That shit, it goes with you to the grave. And if there is any beyond, I'm pretty sure it would go with you beyond. And it's just so fucked up because people treat it like you're just intentionally staying in this state. People treat it as if you just choose this, as if you choose that every single day, that you're just going to be fucking miserable. And it's like, no, you were granted a permanent state of perpetual misery that just gets somewhat milder and easier to manage so you can just move and function. You don't choose to be fucking depressed. If I could press a button and have this shit go away permanently, I would. And I guess there is that button, but people tell me I'm a coward if I press that one. So, yeah. I just don't understand how people don't fucking get it at this point. Like, we've had so many people document their experiences with it. We've had experiments conducted on animals with it. They'll like traumatize the fuck out of animals or beat them or starve them or some other shit, and then try to reintegrate them with the rest of their pack or the rest of the animals like them. They never act the same. Some of them will actually fucking themselves. Like, some of the parents that go through that, they'll end up with their children. Does that sound familiar? Like, when you get afflicted with this shit, it never goes away. All right. But despite that, if you speak about these experiences, or if something about these experiences just makes it obvious on you, like, it just makes it obvious that in a certain discussion that you have, or something about the way you carry yourself just makes it obvious that you have depression, or that you've been damaged thoroughly and severely in life, motherfuckers act like you're just supposed to be able to turn it off. All right? People act like a mask is supposed to be a cure for depression. It never was, and it never will be. And I think that's the real cowardly thing. Expecting everybody to be able to just perfectly conceal everything that's going on with them, everything that's going through their head, all the experiences in life that have shaped this person to be the way they are right now. All right, this shit did not happen overnight, and it's not going to change because somebody participates in whatever bullshit small talk that you participate in, or pretends to like shit that nobody actually likes, but we're told we're supposed to like so we can be normal. None of that shit is gonna matter. All right? Trying to fucking lobotomize yourself with all this nonsense that is fed to us in this culture, it doesn't matter. But if you don't act like everybody else, and if your experiences have shaped you to be a person who thinks about things in a different way or discusses things in a different way, you are always going to be an outcast. You're always going to be fucking exiled, which honestly becomes kind of convenient at a certain point because you already have all this mental turmoil, and being around energy fucking vampires like that is not going to help matters, not in the slightest. So you should honestly thank them. I just don't get how people can walk through life like that, though, like with just no thoughts of your own, no thoughts of your own whatsoever. Or if you've been through things, just constantly trying to mask them with a creepy ass smile. That's the thing I hate the most, is a fake smile. A smile in my face. That's that shit I don't like. All right, like I don't understand how you can just walk around just perpetually trying to plaster this creepy ass fucking Joker smile on your face, acting like the world is perfectly fine or life is good, and then expect others to do what the fuck you do, or else you're fucked up. Like, why is it just expected of us to constantly be able to mask this shit? And I'm not saying just take out everything that you have going on everybody, but like, I don't understand why we're expected to act like we've all eaten smile fruits from fucking Doflamingo in One Piece. Like, that shit is so creepy, man. That shit is so fucking creepy, dude. I mean, again, like, just always having to wear a mask is just something that like more and more people are rejecting. That's why spaces like this are blowing up, because more people are just refusing to shut the fuck up about the fact that they feel this way, about the fact that they're discontent, not with just how they've been treated, but how their demographic has been treated on a society-wide scale. All right. I don't want to hurt nobody, but at the same time, I'm not just going to fucking pretend everything's all right when it's fucking not. And it never has been. Okay? When you grow up in a fucked up world like this, those experiences follow you to the grave. It happened a long time ago. Get over it. You can't hold on to your trauma forever. When are you gonna grow up? A lot of people always ask why you'll talk about experiences that happened in childhood or things that happened a long time ago, especially when it comes to, those who are considered losers of society. Why are you holding on to these experiences? Why are you holding on to that bullying? Sometimes it'll even be more extreme. They'll ask you why you're holding on to that time you may have been touched in a bad way, or why you're holding on to your parents beating you, or anything of that nature, a lot of times you'll just be asked why you have to hold on to it. And there's several different reasons, but I really feel like the reason that people really underestimate when it comes to somebody who talks about this is just how greatly this kind of damage shapes you. I may have referenced this experiment before, if I'm actually putting this video out in order, which I may not, but just in case, there was an experiment done with monkeys where they essentially took them and they just tortured them. Like, it would be like little baby monkeys, and they'd like isolate them socially and have them beaten. And even for some of the older monkeys, they did certain things to them. Like, for mothers, they would have them, violated and have them produce children. And basically, after they put them through all of this trauma, they would then give them what we would consider normal circumstances. And the not so surprising results is that things didn't go very well. They were very antisocial. They were very violent. A lot of the mothers who had gone through that ended up deleting their children, and the children, they never recovered. I think a few of them seppuku'd. Like, the results were pretty consistent across the board. They never recovered. All right. These things they leave a stain on you. They leave a stain in your memory. They leave an impact that simply does not go away. You can talk to any older guy and he'll be able to tell you in surprisingly vivid detail, even if his memory is a little shot or a little gone. If there was particularly bad experiences that he had as a child, he'll be able to tell you in detail as if it happened yesterday. Okay? He remembers the name of the kid that bullied him when he was 10. It is ridiculous. People don't just drop this. People don't just forget this. All right? These are considered your formative years, your most important years. If you are attacked while you are being developed, then how can you expect things to go well? All right? It's kind of like if a mad scientist, like, this trope where, like, a scientist will try to make some sort of creature or something, and then something in the process goes wrong, and the creature or whatever was being created just ends up going haywire and damn near destroying the world because the development was interrupted. Right? If you interrupt development in a traumatic way like that, things are not going to end very well. It never will. And especially when what you experienced as a child ends up being reflected in your day-to-day life. You go to work and you speak with people who have mannerisms and tendencies that are very similar to those who have traumatized you in the past. People that enforce very similar social norms. You'll hear this complaint a lot. People will say that working is adult high school. Do you think that comes from nowhere? No. It's because they remember what happened to them in high school. The only difference here is that if you punch a motherfucker, you're actually going to end up in prison. If you punch somebody, at best case scenario is that you could get bailed out and then have to go to court afterwards and have something on your record. The only difference is the threshold of what you can get away with, but the underlying structure is always going to be the same. And then when you combine the fact that that underlying structure has not changed with the fact that you have these memories that pierce your brain every single night, you'll wake up randomly just thinking about these things. How is it any surprise that people don't forget this, that people don't move past this, especially when you're talking about a group like excess males, when you're talking about a group of people that aren't allowed to share their experiences or confide in anyone, when you talk about people that, again, are demonized when they attempt to speak about anything that they've been going through. Nobody wants to hear your perspective when you're like this. So, of course, your experiences that you had that are negative, they end up making up the bulk of your experiences. So, what else would you come to expect? But I also feel like there's just another layer to this. Because when you look at school, when you look at those badass kids doing all that terrible shit to these other children that are trying to mind their business, when you look at the kids that were physically beating down on the other kids and doing all these weird so-called pranks that were being excused by parents and teachers until the ugly, undesirable kid actually did something about it, and then it was a crime. You see something that sticks with you because it never becomes irrelevant. You see, the children that are in that position are the purest reflection of society. The children in public schools that are bullies and that are assholes are the perfect reflection of society, because you have a group of humans at an age where they've just obtained consciousness. They're just aware that they're alive, but at the same time, they haven't developed any critical thought. You see, they're sponges. All right. So they're in a position where everything that they're doing and saying comes from somewhere, mostly their parents and, society at large, the media that they'll see, what they see on TV, music, video games, very impressionable. They are the purest reflection of society. All right. So why would that ever become irrelevant? Because the children that are in school today are reflecting what they're being shown by the adults of this generation. So why would that experience ever become irrelevant? They are reflecting what they've been shown by the adults. Okay. The adults have entrusted the next generation with their degeneracy, essentially. That's what's happening. Like, people like to sit here and, especially with these Gen Alpha kids, like these iPad kids, people like to sit here and judge them and shit on them and talk about how they're so stupid and they're so dumb and they're so lazy and all they do is watch this and their memes are stupid and unfunny, blah, blah, blah. But where did they get any of this from? These children have not developed critical thought. They are sponges. They are absorbing what they've been given. They're absorbing everything that they've been given. So where do they get it from? They get it from media. They get it from, again, society as a whole, everything that we put out, and they get it from home. They get it from their parents. So what I'm telling you is that the reason that your experiences with children in school, well, that didn't sound right. Your experiences as a child in school interacting with other kids can't become irrelevant, because those kids that you were dealing with reflected society at that time. It reflected what the adults were showing as an example at that time, what the media of the time was showing those children. So you can't just neglect that experience. As a matter of fact, that might be some of the best experience, because they have no filter. They can't filter out what they're supposed to replicate or what they're supposed to do. They are the greatest example of everything that is wrong right now. Again, you talk about the kids nowadays and how everything has to be instant gratification because they've never been shown anything delayed. They've never had to do this or that or work for it. They get to just watch all their shows when they want, and they don't even watch shows. They just scroll. Where do you think they got it from? Look at your average 20-year-old. Look at your average 25, 30-year-old. What are they doing on a daily basis? Yeah, they might have grown up in a different society where you weren't scrolling, but now they are. And they didn't go back and show these kids what's what or what they need to do. No, they put the iPad in front of them. And then they replicated what they saw from the prior generation because they are a reflection of the failures of society as a whole. And they're also just a reflection of human nature. Because kids impersonate adults as a game all the time. And it'll change from area to area depending on what's going on in each environment. You know, kids will play house. They'll play doctor, they'll pretend, oh, you'll be the mommy and he'll be the daddy. Ooh, such and such and such and such. Kiss it in it, right? They are imitating adults as a game. All right. They'll, little boys, they'll play fucking war. Why do you think there's all these like military based uh toys for kids? Honestly, that is that's kind of sinister thinking about it now. But I mean, yeah, on the inverse side, what did the girls have? They had the dress up dolls and all of this because of their mothers and all their vanity and, just being constantly obsessed about what society wants them to be or what society wants them to look like. Everything they do reflects the failures of this society and the base of human nature. All right, the base of human nature. Do you really think that the kids in my school that were picking on me are really any different than the kids that were picking on, your grandfather or his father any generation back? Do you really think it's any different? There are some slight cosmetic changes. There are some slight things that look a little bit different nowadays, but the root of it has always been the same. There are always the outcasts. There are always the bullied. There are always those that will be considered prey, and there will always be those that are looked down upon, even if all they want to do is live in peace and defend themselves. There's always that kid that's going to be told to shut the fuck up if he asks a question that's relevant. There's always going to be that child that is an outcast because that is also a part of human nature. That is a part of animal nature because we're animals. You look at any other species, this is just life. Life is fucked up. The world is fucked up. You look at other species, what happens to the runts? They'll be discarded, eaten, beaten, whatever you can imagine. The older sibling will do it to the younger sibling just to have more resources, you know? Or if the older brother comes out deformed, the younger brother, oh, lucky, they'll dispatch the older brother in plenty of species. All right. You know, and I know it's funny because a lot of people that make B-pill kind of videos, they'll talk about how animals are able to mate, but they can't mate. Funny part about that is a lot of animals, um, a lot of animals would have channels of their own, just like this if they could make them. They'd have channels just like this. They'd be talking about the same shit you're talking about right now. Basically, the animals, they'd be talking about how they couldn't get any bird pussy because because their feathers weren't colorful enough, or because they weren't born big enough, or because they were a run, or any other number of things. There'd be an infinite number of reasons why they would have trouble. All right, you think every animal is getting something? Hell no. Absolutely not. There are plenty that are left in the dust just like us because it's not just human nature, it is animal nature. We are animals. Nature is cruel. Everything is cruel. Everything is fucked up. To exist is to suffer. And that is something that holds true across species lines. It doesn't matter, human or any other kind of animal. To exist is to suffer, and your suffering is also going to vary depending on whether or not you're the run of the litter. And to circle back around to the original point, the greatest reflection of this reality that we have in our day-to-day modern life is going to be school. It's going to be public school. It's going to be seeing the quote unquote runts for us get bullied and get tortured because of things that were out of their control, because they were born into unfortunate circumstances and ended up making easy targets. Because the bigger people, the bigger animals were able to prey on them and pick on them in order to get a leg up, because that's how nature works, because the world is cruel and the world is fucked up. So yeah, that's why you can't ignore school or what happens in school or what happens with kids, because that is the most pure, unfiltered look we have at what the nature of an animal is and what the nature of this world is. One of the worst things that I can ever feel is being a fucking burden or being in the way. I really can't stomach that feeling. I already hate myself on a base level, and it's almost as if any instance of this happening just amplifies exactly why 10 times more. I hate the general public. I hate a lot of different things. I dislike people generally, but the only thing I dislike more is myself, probably because I have to spend the most time with myself. And yeah, it's just even worse when I know that I've actively gotten in the way of somebody. And it doesn't really have to be anything major either. It can be something very simple, like I could be playing games with my friend and I could just fuck something up, or make him carry me or some shit like that in a game that I don't know how to play and that I'm not familiar with. And the shit just makes me want to crawl in a hole and fucking die, man. It makes me want to croak. Like, that's why I mainly play like single player games and like fighting games. I'll play some JRPGs like Tales of Berseria, Persona, all that shit. And again, the reason why is because I don't want to play a multiplayer game with like fucking friends and then have them carry me or be the reason that something goes fucked up. Even something as simple as a video game, I just cannot stomach knowing that I'm in the way, knowing that that the shit is my fault, man. It just fucks with me. And, it's just isolating, because even if you really try to cover your tracks and even if you really try to account for the things you do, you're only human. At some point, you're going to be in somebody's way. You're going to do something. Somebody else is going to have to take up after something you did, even if it's very minor. So me having such a volatile reaction to that every fucking time just makes this existence even more isolating than it's already been. It makes it even worse. It makes it even more difficult. And the fear, it extends to my family, like ever since childhood, man, ever since I was little. Like, my mother, she was pretty fucking irresponsible. So a lot of times, some of the more reliable people in my family, reliable adults, like one of my aunts or uncles, if they went out of their way to try and pay some shit for me, or, try to set up anything for me, I would just feel so fucking guilty about it, because I knew there was no real reason for it. Because like, I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, I'm the excess kid, right? I knew I was excess before I even knew anything about this fucking excess male shit or anything like that. I already felt like I was extra. I already felt like there was no fucking reason for me to be here. I already felt like I just couldn't stomach this existence. It just made me feel like shit. again, like an adult in my family would try to take me somewhere, try to take me to like fucking zoo or some shit, and like, you know, I would just feel bad, man, because I know I'm the extra kid. I'm the kid that shouldn't have been born. I was like the most irresponsibly conceived, even though like even the more responsible adults in my family, it's not like they weren't making accidents as well, but they were actually somewhat equipped to handle that. They were actually somewhat equipped to deal with that situation. My mother was not at all, you know. I was fed and clothed and kept alive due to collaborative effort of the few adults around me, and that always made me feel like shit. And like when I was about 13 or so, I was staying at my uncle's house, and you know, I had left from my mother because me and my mother were in the homeless shelter in and out a lot. And he had basically taken me in, and I was depressed as shit. I wasn't trying to do shit. I wasn't trying to, you know, I was just basically a lazy fucker. Like I was just taking my classes online, and as soon as I wrapped that shit up, dude, I wouldn't do shit. And he's like, even beyond just cleaning or something like that, like I was just on the fucking game. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to do shit. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like my uncle even just kind of noted how my facial expressions were and just how like I straight up just didn't want to do shit, you know? And I left and ended up in that like situation with my grandfather and my mother because like I actively like I got the fuck out of there because I felt bad because like not only am I a burden on him, but because of my mental state being all fried and shit, it's just like I'm just an eyesore, you know? Like he looks at me and I'm just an eyesore and I'm just not doing shit. And you know, even before I'm 13 or 16 or you know, I'm at the beginning of my adolescence and I already appear to be a waste of human potential. That's why it was so bothersome seeing me in that state, right? So yeah, I ended up going through that whole torture chamber uh in that fucking shack with my grandfather and mother because like I just couldn't stomach the fact that this man who had gone out of his way to try and help me and do things for me fucking you know, again, I was just being a fucking eyesore to him. So I had to get out of the way. And it's just like, yeah, damn, man. I just couldn't stomach doing that. And examples like that with what I realized when I was at my uncle's house, that is a big example as to why people are mistaken when they assume that, oh, because I watch B pill content or content about being an excess male, that's what makes me feel this way. The content, oh, you fed into it too deep. No, I intuitively understood that I was leftover. I intuitively understood from a young age that I was the kind of guy that's just in the way, the kind of guy that's just not supposed to be here. Again, like the leftover, the fucking misfit, the fucking outcast, the person that's just not supposed to be here. And that's why I fucking removed myself from that situation because it's like I know I'm not shit. So if I knew I wasn't shit when I was 13, before I knew what the fuck a B pill was, I was probably like 3 or 4 years away from learning what a red pill was at that point. But if I understood that I wasn't shit to the point where I didn't even want my own uncle helping me anymore at 13 years old, then how do you think that this B pill content and this B pill shit is anywhere close to the reason that I'm the way I am? I had an intuitive understanding of it from a young age. The only difference is that I saw other people who could relate to me that were able to articulate it better and kind of place exactly what I was feeling my entire life. When it comes to work too, like I don't have any sort of great company loyalty or any bullshit like that, right? I'm not a SpongeBob ass motherfucker, but If I'm being trained by somebody or if I do some work and I slightly mess some shit up, that's why I always make sure that I have all of my shit right, you know? Even the managers that didn't like me at previous jobs would always just kind of note that, if you leave him alone, the shit will be done exactly how it needs to be, right? Like I try to get my routine set. I try to make sure that I'm just ahead of everything at all times because I despise that feeling of knowing that I'm in the way. So even if I'm just early as hell and somebody's training with me and I make a very common fuck up, man, like, I'll move past it. I won't spend the whole time grilling myself and make it awkward for the person trying to train me. But inside, that is what I'm doing. Like, I just fucking hate myself, man. Like, here I am getting in the way of this person's fucking day and this person's routine, man. Just pisses me off so much internally. And the fact that I feel this way about so many aspects of life makes it so confusing to me how people can so readily cause trouble for others, you know? I should be editing this after this one recording I've done, but I did a recording about how we live in a low trust society, a video about how we live in a low trust society where, especially in the West, where you can't leave shit uh, uh, the way it is. We can't be trusted to have our books in the library and have them not be damaged. We can't be trusted to not throw litter in the streets. We can't be trusted to do shit. We just legitimately can't be trusted with anything. Like everything in this society is fucked because nobody actually looks out and makes sure the next man doesn't have bullshit to pick up after. So me being a person that is so like I just absolutely hate and despise the idea of getting in anybody's way in the slightest. It confuses me to such a high degree how people just so readily make trouble for each other. Like that shit makes me want to vomit. I don't even have to directly see the person that I'm affecting, but I know if I've done some shit, like if I'm in a store and I broke some shit by accident, like I'm in like a canned or like I'm in a aisle with like food in a jar, like pickles or something, and I accidentally knock something over. And then, I call the person over for them to come call the cleaning person. Bro, I feel like shit. I'll remember that for like days. The shit keeps me up. But people will just actively go and do things significantly worse than that people are going to have to clean up after. And, that's one of many reasons I just can't relate to most people, man. Like, I feel like a total waste of space by default, but that shit just makes it even worse. So the fact that people can just do that and feel like perfectly sane confuses the fuck out of me. But yeah, I guess that's all I had to say about this. Even as a loser or an outcast, I still consider it very important for you to make the decision to go your own way. And I know a lot of people, their immediate response to that is it's cope, you are sent your own way, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that because there is a lot of that. There is a lot of people who use going their own way as a way to cope with the fact that they were sent their own way. But here's the thing, I don't think it's mutually exclusive because a lot of people who are sent their own way just never really get the memo. All right, like you'll see a lot of guys who are unattractive or can't really get anywhere with women, and they'll essentially be the stray dogs of society. They'll pay on that OF and give how much ever money a week to talk to some guy pretending to be a chick they wank off to. You'll see them begging for attention or simping for random bitches at their job and just doing all this other shit, being the stray dogs of society. These are men that were also sent their own way, but after they were sent their own way, they refused to go their own way. They refused to make any move after that. They are the stray dogs of society. They are the ones that are begging to be accepted by people that are never going to accept them. They're the useful idiots. All right. They're the people that normal will point to as an example of being one of the good ones when it comes to genetic junk and genetic garbage.
You are genetic junk!
All right. You're supposed to be acting more like him. You see, he's got a good attitude. I'm sure he'll get a bitch someday. Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that?
Are you sure about that? And that's why that attitude is so dangerous, because you'll see a lot of these guys, they'll get gaslit by a lot of these people who have no desire for them, who would never, ever actually accept them. Like, they get gaslit by these people so hard to the point that when they do finally realize that they've been sold a lie, they're mentally broken to the point where they can't just go their own way anymore. They do some heinous shit. And I'm sure a lot of instances just flashed in your head as soon as I said that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Some very heinous shit happens when a man who has been gaslit for years and years about just being nice and just being a good puppy, being able to get them some sort of female attention someday, or even just a good job or any sort of advancement in society, when they realize it's a lie, they end up doing some horrible shit. And then somehow we get blamed for it as people that are actually open about our experiences and accept what our position as far as society has been, what our curse we've been branded with is. We accept the fact that there's just certain things that aren't going to be accessible to us, and that instead of focusing on that and hyperfixating and begging like stray dogs for a crumb of acceptance from this society, we need to do our own thing, man. We need to fuck off. We don't need to be sucking up to these people. We don't need to be kissing ass, because when you get so deep into kissing ass that that's been your entire life, eventually the B pill is gonna hit you. All right. You might come to a point where you're done with it. It's never gonna be done with you. Ever. You're going to have to realize at some point that the way you were born, the way you look, height, all of that, it's just going to gate your access to certain shit. You know, like a XP gate in the game. You just can't go certain places if you don't have that XP. All right. And we don't have access to the missions that would allow us to grind that XP up to get to where we need to go. And a lot of people had access to that from very young ages. We never did. So instead of begging, so instead of just, again, trying to be accepted by these people who already view you as a threat simply for being the position that you're in right now, you need to go do your own shit, man. And in their mind, it makes perfect sense why we'd be a threat, because, oh, look at him, he's been shit on. They don't ever think to just treat people better. They don't ever think, oh, maybe let's have less pissed off people. I'm not saying you got to drop to your knees and suck anybody, but I'm just saying maybe, hey, let's not be so judgmental of these people, or, let's not immediately try to shut down these people in their own fucking spaces that they create to be able to share their lived experiences. Maybe we can actually let them be fucking humans. Like, no, they try to shut you down, they shit on you, but at the same time, they realize that all of that pain that they're putting you through is, it could result in something very bad, which it's not going to for most of us, because we already know what it is. But for the people who don't accept it, and for the stray dogs, for the simps, they're going to probably end up going down that path. All right. Like, why do you think so many people who do like the women and beat on them and all this shit are like self-proclaimed publicly facing feminists? Why do you think that's the case? Because they felt like that little title earned them something. And when they came to the realization that you didn't earn shit from that, what do? They lash out. They lash out. They do some despicable things. They do some hideous things, you know? And if they would have simply accepted their reality for what it was earlier on, some people's lives could have been saved. Some people could have been saved from some serious trauma. And this is very early. Like this stuff happens very early on. Like even in school, you'll see it'll be an outcasted kid, you know, maybe overweight, maybe just quiet, maybe not even particularly what we would consider genetic junk. Maybe it's just a socially maladjusted child, right? They'll go up to this kid and just fuck with him and pick on him. And the thing that was always the most baffling thing to me is that to a kid like that, they would say, "You look like a school." I'm just gonna bleep it out. You look like a school, okay? They'll tell him that, "Hey, you look like you're gonna school." And it's like, dude, if that's what you actually thought, if you thought that this was a person that would be on the brink of committing an atrocity like that, if you thought this was a person that was in such a fragile mental state that maybe they would end up at school or doing something bad, then why in the actual fuck would you taunt them with that? Why would you taunt them with something like that? Why would you make fun of them with something like that? And why would you egg on a person that you think is so highly likely to actually commit such an atrocity, to commit such an act that would put you in direct danger? Why would you egg a person like that on? If you look at a person and say, they could end up doing something that could fuck me up or land me in a bad position, and then you continue to attack that person and drive them further into that mental state, then why the fuck would you keep doing it? Why would you keep doing it? You know, and I like the people that are that are just kind of aware about it, and they'll kind of just jab at the kids without really, well, they'll just jab back at the kids without really incriminating themselves or doing some bullshit where they could get pulled to the office. Like this one guy I used to work at Walmart with, he's probably like 40, 41 now. He was like 36 back when I was working there. Cool as fuck, chill as hell dude, man. Like, you know, a lot of the same shit I was into. He had like this big ass collection of anime magazines. He'd show us some of them sometimes. Real cool dude. Gotta check up on him. But yeah, what he said was that people would say the same shit about him, and he's a chill guy, man. He's really fucking cool. But his response to it when they would accuse him of, you know, being like that or maybe being a person who would commit an act like that someday, his response was, "I don't own a." And you can't really do shit about that, which is what makes it 10 times funnier. It's like, what? You're gonna go to the teacher and tell this guy that he said he doesn't have a, all right? What is he responding to when you say that? So now you basically have to snitch on yourself and say that you taunted a socially outcasted child by trying to say that they would, and then he didn't incriminate himself in response. So you basically just got to hold that. You're just left with that little fear in the back of your head. So I did like that little response when he told me that story. But yeah, he is a guy that accepted the fact that, you know, certain motherfuckers are just NPCs. Certain people are just not going to think about things, and that he needs to do his own thing and go his own way. So that's the point of this. Don't think that, like, again, the whole like MGTOW thing with a lot of people that'll try to sell courses and all this bullshit, a lot of the bigger channels, and they'll talk about like women hitting the wall. Bitches got options until they croak. You know what I'm saying? A bitch could be on her deathbed. She got options. All right. I'm not talking about like that extra coke shit. I'm talking about going your own way in a sense to where you're not the stray dog of society. All right. Accept the fact that these motherfuckers aren't going to accept you. And also just kind of think about the fact that it's not really worth anything to be so-called accepted by pieces of shit like that. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
Gosh, no.